Thank you.
Okay, we got everybody in.
Yes.
Great, thank you. So welcome to the July 6th meeting of the Scituate 26th meeting of the Scituate Conservation Commission. Couple of things I want to read. This meeting is being held virtual as an alternate means of public access pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, temporarily amending certain provisions of the open meeting law. You're hereby advised that this meeting and all the communications during this meeting may be recorded by the town of Scituate in accordance with the open meeting law. And town of Scituate's commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. Scituate Conservation Commission is committed to providing an environment of respect during our meetings. We ask all members to interact in a polite manner, even when there's disagreement. We value the participation of our community. We want all participants, including marginalized and minoritized communities, to feel welcome and respected. We ask our committee members and all that participate to commit to these standards to support and respect our community. That said, before we vote the agenda, I just want to announce this, that the town, maybe Jen can explain it. Apparently we have a different website and there was some issues with the link to this meeting, and some people may have not been able to open the meeting. Although it seems like we have pretty good attendance. We'll take a little poll there at some point. So one of the thoughts that we had was possibly not closing any of the hearings this evening and to continue them to the next meeting, where we would just simply vote if we don't hear from anyone that had wanted to participate in the meeting, if that makes any kind of sense. I just don't want to close out a meeting and then have someone be able to come back and say they wanted to access the meeting and they couldn't. So that's one solution. I'm happy to hear from anybody else. And the other thing I'd just like to remind everyone along with that reading is I really would like to start to be sure that participants in this meeting are clear, they're concise, and they're to the point. And we don't need to belabor things or repeat it for the benefit of effect or whatever. I'd like to just get the facts and the issues and not make the meeting go longer by having discussion over items that have already been addressed. So if we could kind of keep that in mind, and also obviously keeping in mind that this meeting should always be respectful. Those things said, are there any additions or agenda to our agenda? Okay. Can I get a vote? Can I get a
I
motion for
make
the?
a mo I'll make a motion that we accept the agenda as written.
That's a motion from Penny. A second.
Second from Jen.
From Jen. All in favor? Say Brendan's out tonight, correct?
Yeah.
Yes, Brendan and Robbie.
Okay. So all in favor, Eric,
Yes.
Roger,
Yes.
and Frank, yes. Great. Thank you. Okay. 84 Williamsburg Lane. Is that, we're opening that one? So
Yes.
yep. So on July 6th, 2026 at 6 p.m., the Scituate Conservation Commission will hold a wetlands hearing under Chapter 131, Section 40, Mass General Laws, and Section 30700, Town of Scituate Code of Bylaws, for a notice of intent filed by Concoction Brayton Irrevocable Trust for the replacement of an existing septic system within the wetlands resource and located at 64 Williamsburg Lane, Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. Information to access the meetings available on the agenda posted on the website. And we have somebody from
Atlantic Coast, we have Jed
Atlantic.
Hannon.
Yep. Good evening.
Good evening, Jed Hannon, registered engineer. Can everybody hear me okay?
We got you.
Okay, great.
Jed,
Thank you.
Jed, can I ask you, did you have any issues accessing the meeting?
It took a little bit of time. I noticed, typically there's a link you just click on and the Zoom populates. Whereas tonight you had to enter the meeting ID number and passcode. So,
Okay,
it just added an extra minute, but I had no issue accessing it at all.
great. Thank you.
Sure. Okay, so this is a notice of intent for a 5-bedroom septic replacement. The resource areas on this site are proposed work within the 100-foot BVW. It's 92.6 feet to the proposed septic tank. We're also in the 200-foot riverfront area. The entire rear yard is in the riverfront area. The layout as we have it, as you can see, if you zoom in, is basically putting in a new 5-bed system with a 1,500-gallon tank, a 1,000-gallon chamber, a D-box, a leaching field. That orange line represents the erosion controls. The circle represents the existing dated system that will be pumped and filled as required by Title V. The impacts to the resource areas, let me just pull up those numbers. And they're all temporary, right? Because everything's below grade. With the BVW, it's 113 square feet, and the riverfront area is 1253. But again, everything will be below grade. All disturbed areas will be loomed and seeded, and erosion controls will be kept in place till the end of the project. Board of Health has reviewed this. We got a few comments back. We updated the plans. The plans before you represent all the updates. Their only remaining comment is the review and approval from the Conservation Commission. That is all I have. I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have. Thank you.
Thank you. Jen Smith?
I agree. The resource areas, it's in buffer to BVW and riverfront. Board of Health is okay with the plan. I don't have any other comments.
Okay. Jen Foley, would you like to start?
Sure. So, sorry, I have an assistant. Um, so I'm trying to track can you explain the 100-foot wetlands buffer and the 50-foot? The 50-foot is the green dotted? Oh, the orange.
That's
Okay, sorry.
exactly right. The 50
All right.
foot is the green line, and then the 100 is the line further out.
For some reason, the orange was catching my eye as like 100-foot buffer just because it was a color. Okay. I don't think I have any questions right now.
Okay. Penny?
Nope, it looks good to me. Need a new septic. Thank you.
Okay. Eric?
Looks good for the most part. Only one question, Jed. Any vegetation going to be removed for either the decommissioning of the old or the construction of the new septic system?
No, there's several trees in the back, but none of the trees or the roots appear to be impacted by the proposed layout. So there should be no vegetation removed.
All right, excellent. Thank you.
Okay. Roger?
No questions.
We have anybody in the audience on this one?
I see no hands raised.
Okay. I think that Eric's question was the only one that I had. So I'm assuming that that's pretty much lawn then to the property line, Jed? Or,
That's correct.
okay. And do we have anybody in the audience with any questions on this? You say no hands.
No hands raised. There are quite a few people who've called in, so I think they have to raise their hand, they probably have to star 9. And I don't see any hands raised.
All right. I mean, this one seems pretty of a non-issue. Jed, do you understand the concern about this, whether we continue this or whether we vote to close it? And the only parallel is if for some reason there was someone that had an issue and they couldn't access the meeting, they'd probably have a legitimate concern. I don't really see that for this project, but
I agree wholeheartedly. Plus, there's the appeal period. So,
well, just once we close it, we can't really revisit it. So, I don't really see that on this one as being an issue, but I want you to be aware of that possibility. And then if you either we continue to the next meeting and close it an issue at that meeting, or we close this evening.
We'd prefer to close this evening. I know they're really looking to move ahead with this.
Okay, just so you understand the issue.
Okay, I make a motion. Jen, is this close an issue or just close?
Close an issue.
Okay, I make a motion to close an issue at 84 Williamsburg.
It's a motion from Penny to a second.
I'll second.
That's from Eric. All in favor, Roger?
Yes.
And Frank, yes. Great.
Okay.
Thank you, Jed.
You need Jen?
Right. Thank you.
Yeah,
Oh, and Jen Foley. I'm so sorry.
Jen says yes.
That's awful.
I'm
I'm
offended.
still recovering from the heat from last week. I apologize.
Sure.
Something to blame it on. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So now we are on to 81 Surfside. Is this a continuance?
232 Country
No,
Way.
it's 232 Country Way.
Oh, geez. I'm sorry. Skipped down one. Sorry. On July 6, 2026, 6 p.m., the Scituate Conservation Commission will hold a wetlands hearing under Chapter 131, Section 40 of Massachusetts General Laws and Section 30700 Town of Scituate Code of Bylaws for a notice of intent filed by Nicholas Moore for the construction of an addition within the buffer to a wetlands resource located at 232 Country Way, Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. Information to access the meetings available on the agenda posted on the website. And we have somebody from Morse Engineering.
Yes, this is Greg Morse. Good evening.
Good evening, Greg.
Hi.
And you heard the discussion about the posting of the meeting.
Yes, I did. DEP actually has not issued a file number yet for this project, so I'm hoping at the conclusion of this meeting we can continue to your next meeting and issue an order at that next meeting if all seems well. But
Sounds
presenting
good.
the project, great, thank you. Gregory Morse, registered engineer, Morse Engineering. The project's 232 Country Way. The applicant and property owner is Nicholas Moore. It's a notice of intent for additions to his single-family home. The lot itself is approximately 35,782 square feet. It's entirely upland area, but at the bottom of the screen here, highlighted in blue, is an off-site bordering vegetated wetland that was delineated by Brad Holmes of Environmental Consulting and Restoration. The 50-foot buffer is shown in red. The 100-foot buffer is shown in green, extending onto the site. You'll see that the site was previously developed with a single-family home, kind of located right in the middle of the lot itself. Along both side lot lines are stone walls. The lot has been essentially cleared up to the stone walls on either side and is maintained with the driveway and lawn surfaces. The additions, there are 2 of them. The first one is an addition on the right-hand side of the house. It's a proposed garage. It goes over an area that's existing paved driveway and existing gravel driveway. There's no vegetation that would be removed as part of the addition project. I realize the garage is located partially inside of the 50-foot buffer, but that's the location of the existing curb cut in the existing driveway servicing the property. Again, there's no vegetation being removed. We are proposing to offset that garage by the shaded area in green, which represents approximately 303 square feet of existing impervious inside the 50-foot buffer, which we would be removing and placing back as a lawn surface. The second addition is off the back left corner of the house. That's existing lawn area at its closest point. That addition is 90 feet away from the BVW. We have the erosion control barrier, which is the dashed black line around the back and the side of the house around the limit of work. And it falls under the thresholds for a stormwater permit, so no stormwater. I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay, thank you. Jen Smith?
No DEP number, no vegetation being, needing to be disturbed. It's either driveway or lawn. The limit of work is defined with the erosion control around the back of the property. I didn't have any other questions.
Okay. Penny?
Yes, I only have a couple of real simple questions. Jeff, could Greg, I'm sorry, I'm calling you your father. Could we extend the erosion control on the proposed addition on the upper? Because it kind of stops. It really should come down to encompass the whole addition. Yes?
Um, Penny, are you looking at the June 25th plan?
I'm looking at the screen in front of me.
Oh, okay. Got it. Okay. I'm sorry.
And the erosion control stops.
Do I have the
at
wrong plan up?
No, you're good.
No,
Okay.
this is an accurate plan. The erosion control is the black dashed line, which runs
Yeah, I
behind
see
the addition.
that.
So,
But it doesn't go
at that
all the
green,
way.
so it stops right where that cursor is there for, well,
Right.
a couple of reasons. One, the 100-foot buffer zone is the green line. And so
Yes,
the
I
topography on
understand.
this lot flows toward the bottom of the screen. So extending the erosion control barrier along that side lot line, there's already a stone wall there and it's uphill. It doesn't, there's a defined limit of work by the stone wall. There's really no erosion or sedimentation flowing uphill, which is why we stopped it at that location.
Okay,
Gladly
it just
extend
to
it if you
me
think.
go another 20 feet and you
Sure.
encompass the whole addition. I don't think that's a big deal, but to ask. Okay, the other thing is the proposed stockpile. Yes, I understand it's a lawn, but should that be in the 50-foot buffer? You know, even though
Sure,
it's
I'd be
grass, I know.
sure. I'd
Is there
glad to move
someplace
it
else we
outside.
could put that? Put it outside? Just, to make things tidy.
Sure. Yep, I can
Okay.
move that outside the 50.
Okay. Thank you. That's all.
Okay. Eric?
Yeah, it looks good for the most part. Not to pick nits, but I do see the impervious area that's being removed and replaced with almond seed. It's all good. I was just wondering if maybe a couple native shrubs could be thrown in on the that wetland side of that area that you're proposing there. Only reason why I'm asking is just because we typically do ask for some sort of native mitigation for work that happens within the 50. I do understand that we're removing some impervious. I do understand that the garage is going in a previously disturbed and paved area, but two or three native shrubs to just throw in along that property border just to be consistent with our asks of work that's in the 50.
Yeah, we can accommodate that.
Thanks, Greg.
Right.
Appreciate
Roger?
Just one question. The existing shed that's in the back right or lower portion of this, I'm sorry if you said something. Is that going to stay or what is that?
Yeah, that's gonna stay. That's the existing shed.
So the proposed garage is not going to be able to replace the shed itself and what it's being used for?
No, the garage, it's a two-car automobile, garage, versus the shed is the yard tools.
Was the shed approved or was the shed added independently?
I don't have an answer on that. It's been there for a while, from what I can tell.
Okay. That's it for me.
Thank you. Jen Foley?
Um, I think I think all of the things that I would bring up have already been covered. I would agree on the proposed stockpile area being out of the 50. Um, and on the mitigation being amped up a bit, um, beyond just loom and seed, and whether the shed could be relocated out of the 50.
Okay. Um, good points. I've got all the members, right? So do we have anybody in the audience for this one?
I do not see any hands raised.
Okay. So Greg, can you just walk me through a little bit with the paved driveway? That right now, where does the paved driveway end? Is it on the back side of the proposed garage or?
Essentially, yes. There's a fence that goes from the back corner of the house over to the side lot line.
Yep.
And the paved driveway goes right up to that fence on that side there.
Okay. And then there's
And
a
then
gravel
in the
driveway. Go
Yes,
ahead.
adjacent to the paved driveway is a gravel area, a gravel parking surface. So, yep,
So you're going to leave the paved driveway that exists, right? You're just cutting out the part where the garage is,
that's correct.
and then you're going to leave the gravel parking
We're
area.
gonna leave gravel parking with the exception of what you see in green there is a piece of gravel parking, and it's a piece of the asphalt turnaround that
Yep,
gets cut out. It's about 308 square feet in its entirety that gets cut out.
I see that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Um, so I guess I understand why the garage belongs on that side of the house. I mean, that's typically where people already enter, and to try to put it on the other side, you've got issues with the property line setback, and then it just doesn't work well for the house. And the addition on the back is in the hundred, not as significant. But I do agree with Eric. I think maybe Jen is that there should be some additional plantings. You're probably only, what's your distance from the edge of the garage to the wetlands? Looks like it might be 40 feet.
It's close to that. I don't have it labeled here, but
Yeah,
we've got
35.
we've got 23 and a half feet essentially to the side lot line, the stone wall, which is, lawn right up to the stone wall. So I'll add some plantings inside that buffer area. I certainly heard that comment, and we'll add some buffer plantings in front of that wall.
Right. And then I guess, the comment from Roger and Jen regarding the shed, I mean, we're just looking to get things out of, moving something into the 50. In an ideal situation, it would be nice to move it out of the 50. I don't know whether that shed could stand that or not. I mean, they're not.
Take a look at that. I don't know the structural condition of it.
Right. It would just make a lot of sense from the commission standpoint when something's being allowed inside there, but that would go, in my mind, a long way to justifying the construction within the 50. I think that's it for me. We are going to have to continue. Maybe you could add some of those things to the plan and just get back to us with a few of those answers, and we can finalize that at the next meeting. Does that make sense?
That would be great. Yep.
Okay.
Jen,
Mo-
Jen, when do you want to continue it to?
July 20th is a very full meeting. We've got the septic plan on for that one.
Yeah.
I think we've got about 11, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We already have 13
So we're gonna have to go
hearings.
to the first one in August.
All right, August 3rd.
August 3rd. I make a motion we continue.
Can I just, Penny, wait,
Yeah.
Greg, when you make those revisions, can you send them back to the commission as soon as possible?
Yes, you'll likely have them tomorrow.
That'd be great. Yeah, that way we could have a chance to take a look and maybe get a little feedback. That would be really helpful.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Penny.
Nope, that's fine. I make a motion we continue 232 Country Way till August 3rd.
Second
I'll
from Jen.
second that.
Ooh.
I think Jen Foley got that one. Uh, so motion by Penny, second by Jen. All in favor? Eric,
Yes.
Roger,
Yes.
and Frank, yes. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
81 Surfside.
Yep.
I think that's you again, Greg.
Yes, it is.
Or somebody within the.
Excellent. All right. I'm here on behalf of the property owner near Drury at 81 Surfside. This is a request for an amendment for the existing order of conditions. As you likely recall, there was an order of conditions previously issued. It was a rehab of an existing home, number 81 Surfside Road, but it included reconstruction of a deck that had failed on the Atlantic Ocean side of the house and installation of new pilings with that deck. It also included installation of a generator. The project has been successful. The project is substantially complete. I actually filed a request for a certificate of compliance on it earlier this spring, but there were a couple of deviations, which are what put us before you seeking an amendment. Those deviations were outlined in the letter seeking the amendment that I submitted. The first one is installation of 2 timber posts, which were on sonotubes to support the generator. The generator is on the left-hand side of the dwelling. It's the bump out that you see there. It's an elevated platform so that it complies with FEMA compliance. It was called out to be installed on the original design plan, but we didn't call out that there were going to be 2 timber posts supporting it. So we're asking for permission for those 2 timber posts. The second amendment.
Craig, I realized I probably, because this is an after the fact amendment, I should have just read this quick spiel. Okay. So if you don't mind, I'm just going to throw this in here. So on July 6th at 6 p.m., the Scituate Conservation Commission will hold a wetlands hearing under Chapter 131, Section 40 of Mass General Laws to amend the order of conditions issued under DEP file number 068-3136 as requested by Nerdreary for the after the fact related to the driveway and dwelling located at 81 Surfside Road, Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend, and information to access the meeting is available on the agenda. Sorry, Greg.
Not a problem. Thank you. So the second request was with respect to the driveway. The existing property had a poured concrete driveway. It was a wraparound driveway in the front, and it had a poured concrete walkway up to and along the front of the house. That was replaced during construction. It was replaced with an asphalt driveway. It's similar location, similar size. That's what's depicted on the as-built plan. So it was a new asphalt driveway that got installed. And then the third was to stabilize the site when the site was all done. This site is, aside from the driveway, is 100% pervious. It's a gravel and crushed stone site. The applicant had placed approximately 20 cubic yards of crushed stone to kind of just level off and provide a finished look to the front yard and the side yard of the dwelling. That crushed stone, was raked out and, didn't alter the grade by more than a couple of inches. It did not change any of the drainage patterns of the site, but was really just put down to provide a finished look. We felt these were fairly minor modifications. It was replacement of the driveway, the two timber posts, and then the crushed stone surface. Hence, we submitted the as-built, and as the follow-up, we're submitting the request for the amendment to the order. So I'll turn it over to you for questions or comments.
Okay, thank you. Jen Smith?
Yes. So thank you for filing the amendment so we can review this and receive any comments from those that are interested in it. Typically, we have conditioned people to keep such driveways, if they're impervious, to keep it impervious. We might have talked a bit more about some additional vegetation on site and might have some comments about, in the future, if there's any additional material brought in, or the changing of any surface, that it should come to the Conservation Commission for review before brought in to make sure it's a compliant type material. I think that's all I have for now. Thank you.
Okay. Let's see, who's up? Eric?
Yeah, I think one question, Greg, the imported material, was anything done to the existing grade prior to that material being brought in, meaning vegetation removed or any weed fabric of any kind laid underneath the introduced material?
No, there was no vegetation on the site other than maybe there were some weeds popping up through the gravel that was on the site. But no, the existing grade stayed as it was. This material was just placed on top of it.
All right. Yeah, and just to confirm, no weed fabric was placed underneath, correct?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Roger?
No questions from me.
Okay. Jen Foley?
Nope. I think I'm good.
Penny?
My only question is on that driveway. Now, am I to understand the exact same driveway was concrete and they removed that and did asphalt?
That is correct. Same
So it
size,
was
same
just
location.
as wide, yeah. Okay.
Yep.
So unfortunate that they didn't go with something else, but so be it. Okay, thank you.
Okay. And do we have anybody in the audience?
I am looking for some hands raised. I don't see any at the moment. I do
There's
have
one
one.
there.
I'm gonna all right, I'm unmuting 5458, last four digits of the phone number. There you go.
Good evening. My
Good
name
evening.
is Rafael B. My name is Rafael B. Guzman. I'm one of the four owners of 83 Surfside Road, and we have some concerns about the work that has been done. I think to start with a general question. Why weren't these variations presented for approval beforehand?
Greg, do you want to answer these?
Sure. When we initially did the project, our plans did call out for installation of an elevated generator pad on a NFIP flood compliant structure. We just didn't show the two timber posts. It was always our intent to have the generator there. The driveway, I don't think when we started the project, the intent was to get rid of the driveway, but as you likely saw, there was the project had never been connected to sewer, actually. The sewer got connected, which I believe altered part of the surface topography, maybe altered part of the driveway. As part of that, the driveway got replaced with asphalt. The crushed stone.
Wouldn't that have called?
Yeah.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Please finish. I'm sorry. Didn't mean to interrupt.
Sure. So where it was being replaced in kind, in the same location, at the same elevations, in the same size as previously, it went forth. I wasn't aware of it until after it had been paved. I drove down there in preparation for this meeting. I noticed there were 3 other driveways recently paved on Surfside Road that didn't have orders of conditions issued on them. It was being paved in place of an existing driveway. Placement of the crushed stone on the site. The order of conditions that was issued for this site called that the site was to be stabilized post-construction. I also noticed on Surfside Road that there's 53 homes on Surfside Road. They are all stabilized with lawn, pavers, patios, and concrete, with the exception of this property, which is 100% pervious crushed stone, excepting the driveway. So putting the crushed stone there is in keeping with what the town of Scituate just did to stabilize the Minot Beach parking lot. There's new crushed stone along the edges of that where there were exposed soil. This was in keeping with that. We felt it was material that was similar characteristic and was not altering the drainage characteristics and not changing the topography of the land in any substantial form. The crushed stone is what got placed.
Okay, Mr. Guzman, you had some other questions?
Yeah. Well, actually, the new driveway, the concrete was totally removed.
That's my understanding. Yes. I see no remnants of it there at the site today.
Well, no remnants because it would have been hauled away, right? If it had been removed. But from the times that we've have been here, we didn't notice removal of the concrete. So, placing the asphalt changes the type of material used. Is it bound? Is it bonded to what's underneath it? Because we asked some engineer, and we are concerned that during a storm, this could delaminate under pressure.
Greg, can I maybe need to back up for a second? So that circular driveway, that was concrete, and the concrete got removed and it got paved. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay, so it was a poured concrete driveway prior to this and that wasn't changing at all in the project, right?
Correct.
Okay, and you're saying that the concrete driveway was totally removed, and then the area was prepared and it was paved rather than replacing with concrete or stone or something.
Yes, the concrete was removed. The client told me the concrete was removed and then the asphalt got laid.
Okay. All right. Maybe you could just answer Mr. Guzman a little bit more with regard to the asphalt. I think his question was bonding.
Sure. So typically asphalt is laid on a dirt or a gravel surface. The asphalt is laid typically to 2 to 3 inches thick for a driveway application such as this. Um, it, it is a flexible material, if you will. It's asphalt just like Surfside Road and the majority of the other driveways up and down the street. In New England, typically concrete driveways are not preferred because of the freeze thaw method or freeze thaw with ice during the winter. Asphalt is usually the preferred material for driveways because it is a little bit more elastic and forgiving.
Yeah. You're the engineers on this project, and you say that the owner certifies that the concrete was removed, but you didn't see that removed?
I physically didn't see it removed, but I see no evidence that it's in place, and the owner is telling me that it's removed.
Okay, I guess it'd be hard to see if it's covered with asphalt. The other question we had, there was no walkway to the northern part of the property because there was no stairway on that side of the building. But there is a stairway now, and of course, a asphalt walkway that does a right angle from the front of the house and goes right towards the stairway. Was that stairway in the plans?
It was in the plans that were submitted to the building department, yes.
Okay. And that walkway was also in there?
I don't know about that walkway. I can just go on the photos that I have of the pre-site.
Because before there was no walkway to that side of the house.
Okay.
And the stones that have been placed there, they're non-native, right?
They were imported to the site.
So they are non-native.
I don't know what a non-native stone is. They were natural stones. They were imported to the site.
It's the kind that the commission has asked in the past be used for these kinds of things, as I understand it. Our concern is that in putting that stone over the property, actually it has raised the elevation, and that part of the property used to be a little bit concave. There was an incline, but concave, and now it's raised. It looks to us by more than 2 or 3 inches. So of course, the concern that comes from that is that in a big storm, those stones are going to wind up on the street or on our property. And as after many storms here, even the heavier stones, and the town can corroborate that because they have to come by and clean, wind up on the street or on our property, which we've regrettably had to spend thousands of dollars to clean after storms. So we do have a concern that loose stone is going to come down and out of the property during a storm.
Loose stone is what existed at the property previously, and it's what was put back there in its finished condition. This is on a coastal barrier beach. You're allowed, or you're supposed to let sediment move naturally during storm events, which is what the site fully allows. Yes, you get material out onto the roadway, you get material going onto abutting properties. That's part of living on Surfside Road. The material gets pushed back or pulled back. We understand that.
I don't recall that kind of stone being on the property. They were bigger rocks. There was a lot of dirt. There were weeds. There were untamed bushes. There was there was not that kind of stone. And I imagine there's photographs that can show that. In fact, I might have some photographs that show that.
Okay.
So our concerns are about the possibility that the new driveway, the stones, all of that lead to conditions that in a big storm there is increased chances of problems with them leaving the property, going onto the street, and or damaging our property.
Chairman Snow, I should have introduced him earlier on, but also with me tonight is attorney Adam Brodsky, who'd like to be promoted to speak as well on this matter.
Okay. Mr. Guzman, do you have anything else that you want to bring up at this time so we can, I'd just like to get through your points so that they can get addressed.
I'm happy to cede the floor to you. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Mr. Brodsky, Attorney Brodsky, again, and what I'm asking folks to do, again, is to try to limit the discussion to the issues that are at hand and try to make them as concise and quick as possible. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Snow. Good evening, Adam Brodsky, and I represent the applicant. I simply wanted to make a handful of points. First, we're happy to answer any factual questions, but to your point, not engage in an argument with an abutter. We have a disagreement regarding certain underlying facts, and we will respectfully answer any factual questions regarding that. Second, this is land subject to coastal storm flowage. There were already loose stones all over this lot, and presumably in large storm events, those stones would be carried into the street, potentially on other people's properties, but that's a condition in this part of Scituate. I do know, and I did ask the question specifically of the owner, that we've had some significant storms, and these stones, which are similar to the ones that existed on the property, have not moved off site. And we've received no complaints from any of the neighbors regarding any of this material going off site. So in terms of, as you well know, there are no performance standards for land subject to coastal storm flowage under the State Act. You do have some local requirements. Nothing we've done on this site is in violation of your local requirements or is going to contribute to any detrimental impact to flood control or storm damage prevention within the floodplain. And we're not excusing the work. And ideally, it would have been better for the owner to come and talk to the commission ahead of time. But as you know, during construction, things happen. And this is certainly not the first applicant who's had minor deviations from an approved plan coming to the Conservation Commission in order to authorize those activities. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Adam. I'd like to go to members. I guess we'll start with Roger this time. If you would want to comment, Roger.
No comments.
Okay. Jen Foley.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a little bit of grief in terms of some of the impervious, but Greg's points are definitely heard on comparing it to, some other sites that have much more impervious, although I don't want to necessarily say we compare them to neighbors when we're making decisions like this. So I think I'm all set for now, but I definitely do hear, what the neighbor is saying.
Okay. Penny?
No, I already asked my question about the driveway And it's just a fact of life down there. We get a big storm. You're gonna get more than stones in the road, you know? So that's minor. I just don't see it being an issue. I do wish in this applicant, because I do believe he has other properties, don't do this again. Please come to us with any changes prior to having them done. It makes everything easier for you and for us. Thank you, Frank.
Thanks, Penny. Um, Eric?
I have nothing new to add. Thanks, Frank.
Okay, thank you. And Jen Smith, do you want to make any other comments?
I do not have any additional comments.
Okay. Do we have anybody else to speak to this?
I don't see any other hands raised, but I'm not sure how you want to handle this one.
Yeah. So, Greg, you heard the issue before, the possibility that maybe everyone hasn't had the opportunity to access this meeting. So, whether we want to continue this, just to be sure that it gets addressed properly. Just concerned if we close this, that there's the opportunity for someone to object to that.
I'm going to defer to Adam Brodsky on this one.
Adam, did you hear at
I
the
did.
beginning what
I
happened?
did. I don't think there's any procedural defect. I too was unable to use the link, but knew enough because the agenda posted the meeting ID and the passcode that you can log in. So my inclination is that we've heard from Mr. de Guzman that we'd be comfortable with the commission closing the public hearing and issuing an order.
Okay. All right, I'll take a motion.
I make a motion we accept the amendment to the original orders. And Jen, do we issue new orders? We don't do this that often.
Right. Yeah, we'll issue a new set of orders.
Okay. For Surfside Road here.
Okay, that's a motion from Penny. Do I have a second?
Second from Jen.
Second from Jen Foley. All in favor? Eric?
Yes.
And Roger?
Yes.
And Frank, yes. Thank you all.
Thank
Okay,
you.
zero. Zero Surfside. This is continuation. Someone from Merrill Engineering. Was this Brendan Sullivan before?
Yeah, it was, but Xander's going to be representing.
Okay.
Hi, Xander Orr, Maryland Engineers and Land Surveyors. Not sure, it's not letting me turn on my camera, but I guess that's not important.
You sound good.
Okay, good. So this is a project, well, first of all, I'm here on behalf of the applicant, Steve and Rita Pace. It's for a proposed home at Zero Surfside Road. This project was heard previously at the March 16th hearing. Since then, we've been continued a few times as we went through a pretty thorough peer review process with Lucas Environmental. So since then, the project itself has not changed, but we've provided much more detail on the resource areas, addressed some necessary performance standards, some construction methodology, and other points as well. So at this time, I believe we've addressed all of Lucas Environmental's comments, or they will be addressed by some suggested conditions of approval that they had. And since it's been a while since this has been heard, I could provide just a brief synopsis of the project if that would be helpful.
I think so.
Yeah. So the existing property, the existing conditions are on the left side of the plan. The site currently contains a paved or impervious tennis court and a paved driveway and lawn area, pretty much right up to the resource areas in the back. The resource areas are on the site are barrier beach, non-functioning coastal dune, land subject to coastal storm flowage, and we're within 100 feet of bordering vegetated wetlands and bank to a salt pond. So as I said, all this area is developed. What we propose to do is to remove that entire tennis court as well as a little more than half of the paved driveway to construct a new home on piles. The tennis court will be fully removed, as I said. This will result in a very large decrease in impervious area throughout the site, which is detailed in tables in the bottom left, which we can go over if you all would like. And then we also propose a 950 square foot area of mitigation plantings in the rear. Even though we are reducing impervious, we just thought we'd revegetate that area in the back with some conservation posts as well. Yeah, that's about it. Like I said, the house location hasn't changed, the footprint hasn't changed. We just added some more detail as requested by Lucas Environmental, and went over some of the resource areas. We had our wetland scientist out there do a site visit with them to confirm all the resource areas and flaggings and locations and whatnot. So um, that's it. I'll pass it on to the commission. Thank you.
Thank you. We start with again. We'll roll back to Jen Foley. Jen Smith, actually, why don't you let us know what your thoughts are?
Okay, yes. So Lucas Environmental's in agreement with the delineation, so that's a good place to be at this point. I think a couple suggestions for possible conditions were mentioned. One regarding the trench on the back of the property, maybe underneath the deck and slightly behind it. But another piece was that we don't have a foundation plan. We do have a location for piles, but I don't have I don't have I guess structurals, if you will. Um, whether you condition that or want to have that before we close is something to discuss. Um, I think those were some of the big comments that she had.
Okay. All right. Well, why don't we start to roll through some members? It's been a while for everybody, so don't hesitate to ask if you don't recall or have some from other comment. But Jen Foley, you want to?
I don't know if I lost her.
Okay, well, let me jump to Penny, and if Jen comes back in.
Okay.
Okay. I just have a question, because of how the screen is. These two red squares, well, one's a rectangle, one's a square at the bottom on the Surfside Road side. What are they depicting? I see the arrows, but I can't see the writing.
Sure, yeah. I don't know who's controlling the screen. Maybe we can scroll down a little, but the one on the driveway,
Scroll
that's
up.
or up. Yeah, my bad.
No. Up.
I guess,
Okay.
yeah. So
Poles,
that's the
material.
dumpster location is in the driveway, and then the material laydown or stockpile area is in the front right there. And
Okay,
we
because
made sure to
that
keep
was
those out of the
driving me a little
buffer.
cuckoo trying to figure.
Yeah, that was a comment by Lucas Environmental to make sure we include those, so we did, and we're able to keep them out of the buffer zones. So that's good.
I muted myself. Um, I'm unmuted, right? Yes.
Yep.
Oh, okay. The only other thing is that I do think we need the pilings. We need to have that depicted, that plan before we can close an issue. But other than that, I'm fine with this. Thank you.
Okay. Eric?
Um, so Xander, I think my first question is with regard to underneath the structure. I just would like to confirm that no enclosures will exist preventing wind and sediment transfer within that area underneath the house.
Yeah, I believe that was one of the suggested conditions from Luke's Environmental was to prevent any lattice or obstruction. So uh, we agreed to that being a condition.
Okay, thank you for that. Underneath that house, will there be um, space for parking, or is all of the parking activity going to be restricted to the driveway that's indicated on the plan?
We've only proposed parking for the paved driveway. I don't believe they'd be able to fit under there with the current pile layout.
Okay.
And we have no driveway leading up to the house either, so just the
Okay.
paved
No.
driveway in the front.
Yeah. No, I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah, no problem.
The mitigation area, I did note that Lucas Environmental had suggested a physical root barrier. Was that something that you would be amenable to based on the spec that they provided within their reply comment?
Yes, I believe that was also a condition they suggested. We are amenable to that condition as well.
Okay. And I might have missed it, but are you planning on any sort of invasive removal beyond that mitigation area in addition to that root barrier, or just the root barrier? I just want clarification.
Oh, just the root barrier. Yeah, we're just proposing the root barrier at this time.
Understood. And the conservation posts, I appreciate those being added. I see the little detail at the bottom of the plan, but I think I was just curious what material. It says that it would be a 4x4x4, but would that be wood, composite, stone type? What would they be made out of?
We typically specify wood. I could make that clearer on the detail if that's something you would like. I don't know if the commission has a preferred material, but we've done wood in the
I just
past.
was asking for just more clarification and curiosity,
Sure.
but I appreciate those being added. I think that's it for the moment, Frank. Thank you.
Thank you. Roger?
Just one question for clarification. The existing driveway, since Eric brought it up, the existing driveway there, there going to be any work to improve it, or is it what's there today is going to remain there?
I think last I saw the driveway's in fairly good shape. The most of it will be removed. I think we're okay with just proposing to leave it as is. We are keeping it outside the buffer zones. I know it is within land subject to coastal storm flowage and the barrier beach and non-functioning coastal dune, but I don't believe we propose any remediation of that. We wanted to condition that if that's going to be done, that it stay in the same footprint, that would be fine too. But I believe the plan is just to leave it as is, just cut it off there right in front of the house.
Yep, no, perfect. I just wanted to clarify if that's the plan. I think that that's fine. I just want to make sure that there's no alterations. If it's existing, it's existing. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay. Did we get Jen Foley back, or is she gone?
I have not heard from her and I do not see her.
Okay. All right. Do we have anybody in the audience?
I don't see any hands raised.
Okay. So just a couple of comments from myself. I get the questions about the pilings or not having a structural plan. It's important to know what those are. But on the other hand, starting those sort of plans and a full architectural plan and a piling plan when you're trying to figure out if you are going to have a project um, is can be pretty cost prohibitive. And so I think that's when a lot of cases we would say that we're fine with getting an approved um, structural plan along with a set of architecturals. I think the applicants, are just really reluctant to spend tens of thousands of dollars um, until they make their way through this process. So I'm not too worried about that if we condition that we need to have those plans. If you think that we need to present them to the commission members if they look significantly different from what we're seeing um, in this plan, then they would have to amend their orders, and that would get advertised. So I wouldn't be that wouldn't keep me up not having that information just yet, as long as we get it all and it's all part of the orders. This is compliant set of plans. That's my personal feeling on that. And then I guess the rest of it, I think the mitigation's been worked out pretty well. Not sure what else could be added here at this point. Maybe just addressing a couple of the questions that the members had. How do you feel about that, Jen, with writing a set of orders requesting that information?
I can put those kinds of conditions in the orders. I would say maybe with this being I mean, I know there's a tennis court there being a new build. Maybe we set ourselves up to not close just to make sure there's no other comments from anybody, but I can have everybody ready
Okay.
with the draft conditions.
Okay, that makes sense. And we have everything in there about lattice and all that stuff, right? The enclosure around
Yeah,
the building.
right. It would be no enclosure underneath, no storage underneath. Keep that open. I think the surfaces shouldn't change unless they come back to the commission. And I don't know whether we want to do any surety for the mitigation. We often do that just to make sure the plants go in. Um, and then the elevation being high enough for the resource area and flood zone. Just making sure all of that remains compliant at the time of getting the building permit, just in case it's in the future.
Um,
So we'll continue, Frank, until
yeah,
August?
I just want to address what Jen was
Sure.
saying. Can we put some sort of timeline on the plantings, Jen, as opposed to a surety? Just thinking, in some sense, a surety would be good because then we know that the plants got planted and got established. The other thing is that the plants have to be done on early part of the project.
We've also done that the plants need to be in before you get occupancy, and then at that point we could might then need surety. But if
Yep.
they're in before they apply for occupancy, then that's the goal.
I don't see why they wouldn't be able to start planting these right away or fairly soon, and get the markers up right away. So, okay. All right,
Yeah, because all the
we can address
work's
that.
in the front, Frank.
Right.
Um,
So that,
Mr. Yeah,
go ahead.
sorry, if I may, just regarding the approval process, so I don't know all the details, but I know the applicant is looking to sell the property. I think she has someone lined up, and I don't know all the details, but I think she was hoping to get this closed out today. I know you had the issue with the meeting and link. Personally, I was able to access it fine, but I know that there's also some questions on putting the orders together and the conditions. I'm just wondering if there's any chance we could get a vote on this tonight, or um, if there's anything preventing that.
I I don't know that we're ready for that. Jen, your thoughts? I mean, this has been going on for quite some time. I realize
Yeah.
that this has been a back and forth um, between Merrill and the peer review, but it did start back in March. So to have an urgency this evening,
No.
Yeah, I understand. I know it's just it
no, I
definitely came up late.
right. Well,
Yeah, I had to
yeah,
ask, but
sure. I don't think that's going to work, but
okay.
I would say we'll try to get all the pieces in that we can, and then I don't know, Jen, how soon can we continue this one, or when should we move this to?
I mean, you definitely can to August 3rd. There's only two other hearings, and then what we've continued to that one. The July 20th is the one where we're over, what was the count? 13
You already
hearings?
have 11. So
Okay.
that ain't gonna happen.
Yeah, 11 hearings on that one.
Yeah.
All right. So let's see if we can get all our ducks in a row for
For
August.
August 3rd.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
I make a motion. We continue Zero Surfside to August 3rd. And at that time, hopefully we can close an issue, sir.
Okay. So that's a motion from Penny. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
That's from Eric. All in favor, Roger
Yes.
and Frank, yes. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you, guys. Have a good
Thank
night.
you. James Landing.
Oh, nope, wrong one.
Let's see. Do I have to open this one?
Yes.
I do. So on July 6th at 6 p.m., the Scituate Conservation Commission will hold a wetlands hearing under Chapter 131, Section 40, Massachusetts General Laws, and Section 30700, Town of Scituate Code of Bylaws, for a notice of intent filed by James Landing Condominium Association for maintenance of invasive species within the buffer to a wetland resource located at Lads Way, Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. Information to access the meetings available on the agenda post on the website. And we have
somebody from Wilkinson Environmental.
Okay.
Yes, Jared McGonigal here from Wilkinson.
Good evening.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
We got you.
Great. My name's Jared McGonigal. I'm with Wilkinson Ecological Design as a senior restoration designer. We are representing the James Landing Condo Association for this project. I also have other members here of Wilkinson, of our staff present tonight. I'll present the basis and scope for the project here, which is a property plan for invasive species management and the enhancement native plant communities. The plan has been submitted with the accompanying land management plan, which further define these targeted areas and the protocols of treatment for these species, which include marsh bank planting restoration, woodland management, some meadow planting in these open lawn areas. Um, these areas were defined by our staff, and we have had client feedback at each step of the planning process with the association and with some of the stakeholders here. So I'll present an overview of the plan. And in terms of the urgency of this plan, in terms of the IPM parts of it, we hope that to start work between August and September, as appropriate to the life cycle uh, of many of the invasive species on the site. I will start with the mixed invasives area, which is on the right-hand side. There is a color key, which shows the various color hatching. Um, if you look under the land management notes, the third color key down is the largest area of selective IPM, we call it, or invasive plant management. These areas run along the marsh bank, which slopes down from the perimeter walking loop, which is publicly accessed and also an amenity to the residents that live there. Many of this areas of this marsh bank have been invaded with shrub honeysuckle, Japanese knotweed, multiflora rose, loosestrife, some autumn olive. We have chosen along the outer edges of this bank, kind of in the middle where that yellow bubble is, um, identified a large area there for invasive planting, where sort of that walkway loop curves in and out. Um, we also have another grouping further south where there's a heavily invaded colony there of Japanese knotweed. Um, we have selected these areas, based on, the densest areas we found of of non-native plants. Um, so the first step would be the invasive eradication of these areas. Um, and then we would proceed that by seeding the bank areas with native meadow mix. Um, and then the follow-up phase to that would be the containerized plantings you see here. So this treatment timeline would be across the 3-year cycle of the permit. That's important to note here for all of this work. But the priority for the initial work, at least, is along this marsh bank edge, the mixed invasive areas. We also have 3 areas of Phragmites noted here in the yellow bubbles, which would be part of the treatment along the marsh bank, some of which edges into the salt marsh, where we would be using the bundle and cut hand method to minimize the disturbance around the surrounding marsh. This has been our proven approach for treating these sort of invasive stands without chemical impacts to the vegetation and soils around them within these sensitive areas. Um, any of the cut material is carefully bundled and removed from the marsh. Likewise, with the Japanese knotweed, I mean, we're very careful to remove any of those pieces in the areas where we're treating. The knotweed restoration areas are another bubble here. If you look on the right-hand side, I think if you scroll up, sorry, in the color key there on the top, there's a green hatch there that kind of looks like a checkerboard. Um, there's a large knotweed area in front of building 1, which is right. I think we're looking at it right now. The cursor, there's a white cursor there. Directly seaward of that, there's a large area of lawn, which is currently heavily invaded with knotweed, where we'd be removing all of that Some of that would be injected. Some of it would be low volume foliar spray. We'd be removing that and creating a native plant community with both seeding and containerized materials. There is a corresponding plant list for all these areas by group. If you scroll down to the proposed native planting on the right side of the plan. So this would be Group C, and most of this would be plugged material for this particular area, appropriate to the exposure, and providing some varying bloom times along with great pollinator habitat. And everything is native on this list. Moving down on the plan, I'm sorry if you scroll left, there's another Japanese knotweed area adjacent to Building 4, directly seaward of that, where there's some lawn area here. There's a big pine tree, but there's a stand there of significant knotweed we'd be removing, and it'd be a very similar treatment there in Group F, we're calling it, of plant species. Moving down along the walking path, another area of concern around some existing white pines that are abutting the neighboring property, and I think it's a garage or a storage area there. Backing up to that, there's lots of rugosa rose. There's bittersweet entangled in stands of the pines. We're planning to clear that area up and provide some appropriate coastal hardy native species, including switchgrass, sweet fern, lowbush blueberries, some Virginia roses, which will stay a bit more manageable than the Rosa rugosa that's there, along with some sedges as an understory around the stand of pines that exists. The other part of this plan in this back area, if you look landward of the walking path, there's three distinct areas we're calling them open meadow areas, but Group E, and then if you scroll up, Group G, and if you scroll up from that, Group H. It's important to note that these areas were requested by the owner as currently they're largely areas of sparse lawn, weeds, bare soil, some sort of one-off plantings that have been ornamental plantings that have been put in over time, non-natives. There's privet, there's yew. A lot of the plants in there have been sheared. The owner wishes to restore these areas into open meadow areas, which would maintain some of the lawn around the edges to be mowed. But largely these areas would be restored to native plant communities, providing beauty and pollinator habitat and some structural diversity in planting to what is now really open and very barren areas. And then I think the last area is the largest area, the property border management, which abuts the driftway at the top of the screen. There is a existing dirt walking path through the woods here, but much of this area is heavy stands of Japanese knotweed. There's birch that has some shelf canker on it that is decaying a lot of the birch colony in here. But our plan for this area would be extensive Japanese knotweed treatment, followed by understory seeding and establishment to really, clean this area up for the long term. And just some of the key points. Again, I think I touched on the timing of treating in August and September when a lot of these invasive species are pulling the carbohydrate stores back down. We'd want to treat with herbicide by our licensed staff at that time so that gets translocated into the root system and into the rhizomes where it is most effective at killing the regenerative tissue of the invasive species. So from a timing standpoint, that is critical. And And obviously getting an earlier start on a longer cycle invasive species like knotweed is important, because it will take a few seasons of treatment to handle that. Um, and another note, within the mixed areas, there are some areas of along the walkway, along the seaward side of poison ivy, where we would be proposing some treatment of poison ivy as a public nuisance where, folks are walking barefoot and it's growing over the path in some of these areas. So that would be part of this plan. We do recognize that poison ivy is a native, but um, in this case, it is growing out into the pathway in certain areas. So that would be part of this. But we do feel that this is a fairly comprehensive and ecologically beneficial native planting strategy, which we're excited about. So happy to hear comments from the commission and others. Thank you.
Thank you. Pretty extensive. Jen, you want to start, Smith?
Yes. So unfortunately, we do not have a DEP number for this one. I wasn't able to track down why. There's a couple that we're waiting on. I also want to add that they have received comment from the North River Commission, and they don't need to file with them. And North River explained why. So those are probably my two comments. Good. Yeah, this is the way this was filed. We have a particular type of set of conditions that we would incorporate, allowing for appropriate monitoring and reporting, and just ongoing communication over the process.
Absolutely. Yep.
And I can make sure I share those with everybody if you want to view them beforehand. Those are my brief comments.
Thank you.
Okay. Why don't we start with Eric? This looks like it could be your bailiwick.
Indeed. Well, I just want to say, just from jump, this is a very impressive plan that's being presented here tonight, and I appreciate the depth and amount of work that I'm sure that this took. I also want to acknowledge that I think that this is a significant ecologic benefit to the area, especially given the location of this property adjacent to the marsh, as well as the conversion of certain lawn areas into meadows, as well as the removal of substantial invasives. And there's quite a cocktail on this site, that's for sure. I think I do have a couple quick questions as it pertains to the invasive removal process. Jared, you did sort of touch on it, just that it might take more than one season for some of these invasives to be eradicated through the various means that you've described. Does that mean that there'll be a fallow period before you start seeding and planting plugs? I mean, I would assume that there would be, but I just wanted to confirm that before you've confirmed that all of the invasives have been removed, that you would be holding off on introduction of the native species.
Yeah, that's correct, Eric. We would basically have it's maybe I didn't explain it quite right, but it's a two sequence approach where sequence one is the invasive eradication, followed by at that point we're looking for like an 85% target rate as we access these areas. That tends to be our threshold, and after which is determined that we're not getting resprout. We apply the seed mix. So the invasive management and the seed mix, that in turn provides some cover and is suppressing a lot of maybe what might come up in future seasons. The planting is following that, if that makes sense.
No, absolutely. And thank you for identifying your percentage, because I was going to ask that as well, if you had a threshold on that. as well. In terms of timing for seed, because a lot of the native species require overwinter stratification requirements for germination, would you be trying to target a fall application, or is the seed mix that you'd be proposing have enough annual or code A, anytime germination that you're not concerned with the timing as much?
Yeah, we try to have a diversity in the mix. We do have some fescue in there, and then some of the other wildflowers, which, some of them are a bit more legacy and will take longer. But initially, I think, some of that fescue coming through is typically what we see first. And in the sedges, we have fox sedge and broom sedge in there. And then, we have some, denser grasses in there like crinkle hair grass. Um, we vary the mixture for that reason and the blend for that reason, so that there's some timing to it. And it's as effective as it is irrigated and monitored. So, um,
Excellent. Well, thank you for that. As it pertains to the low volume spray of herbicide, I'm sure that this is the case, but just as a matter of course, I like to just confirm that that would be weather dependent as to reduce drift potential during that application of those herbicides, correct?
absolutely, yeah, we do assess that based on weather patterns. That's part of our work.
Yeah, no, I assume so, but like I said, just wanted to make sure. And then finally, on the meadow areas within the existing turf, I assume that the intent is for those to remain native meadows, grass and or wildflowers. And if that is in fact the desire moving forward, is there a management plan to ensure that it remains that way relative to other successional species of woody trees in particular? Or is maybe explain a little bit on that, if you don't mind.
Yeah, the meadow establishment period will be longer, but we do have an annual mowing of herbaceous species that becomes part of the ongoing care for the meadows. So that's something that we do. We typically mow it once a year. As, aside from that, there are some woody herbaceous species in there that are managed differently, obviously. But yeah,
Sure.
once a year. Yeah.
Timing on that mowing?
Typically in the spring, I believe. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, just wanted to confirm that we were not interrupting, the growth period and ecologic benefit of those plants by mowing in the middle of the season.
Yeah, early spring for that. Yep.
Excellent. All right, I think that's all I have, Frank. Thank you.
Okay. Roger?
Great project. I like it. My couple questions, and I know timing plays a big part. You mentioned something about having to lay down some pesticides of some sort in August, September, just at that right time. Are there are you guys taking into consideration during your 3-year plan like nesting seasons, concerns about the local wildlife that may be inhabiting that area? Have you guys looked into any of that, and is that factored into your timing on how you're approaching this?
We have not done anything like a bird sweep or anything like that on the area. That's something we could certainly do. Um, I mean, I would say that much of this work is on the landward side, I guess you could say, away from the salt marsh as well. But we have decades of experience on the Cape, working around, observing the site and working around, habitat patterns. So
Yeah, it's the nesting season and so forth. That's what comes to my mind. So yeah, I think that that would be worthwhile looking into and factoring in.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. That's it, Frank. Thank you.
Thank you. Penny?
I don't have any questions, but I just wanted to point out, because the newer members on the board probably don't realize, but that path that runs along this area, that is open to the public. That is not just for James Landing people. So that, I mean, this is going to be a great benefit, not just to nature, but to the people that walk that path, because the public is allowed to use that. That's all. Thank you.
Thanks, Penny. Did I catch all the members? We don't have Jen Foley, right? So we're actually missing Jen, Brendan, and Robbie. I think I got
Right.
all the members. Anybody in the audience on this?
I don't see any hands raised at the moment.
Okay. I think Roger and Eric certainly touched on most of the concerns. That the nesting piece, I read a couple of interesting articles on when is a good time to be more cautious. And one of the things I read was try to do any mowing or cutting or something really early in the spring or late winter. I know it kind of disturbs habitat in colder times, but then birds start to nest, and it seems like later spring is certainly not a good time to disturb all of that, or wait until late in the summer. Um,
For Frank,
when
I would just add that a lot of the Cape towns we work in, the end of August is typically when the restrictions are lifted
yeah,
for the nesting. So I think we would be starting at least initially with the work at the right time here.
okay, yeah, I was surprised because for a long time I was always thinking early spring was good, but then more recently I read that maybe late summer is the right time so that they have a chance to have fledged and or whatever, and then have an opportunity to find other habitat. So
Mhm.
that's the latest one. I'm sure there's lots of opinions, but and then with the herbicide and knotweed, it's more from my have battled this stuff as well. Um, and I guess it makes most sense to try to get this in late in the season, like you say, when it's pulling all its nutrients back. And the only concern I have with that, it knotweed also flowers late in the season. So is there a concern for like bees and things like that? How do you manage or balance that one?
Pat Particularly with bee, I mean, we wouldn't want to mow the knotweed when we treat it because we want
I get it. No, you
the
want
vegetative mass to take the treatment to take the
absolutely
chemical. Yeah.
right, but you're trying to
Um,
do it at a time like knotweed flowers late in this. It's in my observation has been that it
yeah.
flowers pretty late in the season. Am I right or I don't know? You guys can correct me. I'm a carpenter.
If we're doing injection, which I could tell you over 1 inch is our threshold with the stems for,
Are you going
applying.
to do this by injection?
Much of it will be, yes. I
Holy
mean, I could
mackerel!
tell you that I mean, the areas on the property border, some of those stems are absolutely these huge masses, and it really sh the treatment really shouldn't affect the flowers at all.
Okay,
So
no, so you're not applying it to the leaves. You're injecting it into the stem.
yeah, where it sounds daunting, but that's what our crews do.
Wow.
So it's a lot of work. Yeah, but
Okay.
but it works. It's
Yeah, I
effective.
bet it does. I bet it does. That's cool. Okay. Thank you. That's it for me. But we have to continue this one as well. Can you are you okay with what were we talking about? August 2nd, right, Jen?
Monday, August 3rd.
August 3rd.
And we can, assuming we don't hear anything unexpected from DEP, we can be ready to go.
Okay, and this would be continued based on not having a DEP number tonight.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Correct.
I mean, if it's only the DEP number, Jen, do you want to try to squeeze them in? I don't know how soon you need this.
Oh, at the next meeting?
Yeah.
Yeah, if it's only the DEP number, but if it's any other kind of comments come in to discuss, it just will have to go to August 3rd. But if we wanted to attempt to squeeze it on for July 20th, this would be the one to squeeze on to July 20th.
Yeah,
Okay.
we would appreciate that if it needs to go to another one, July being the date
Yeah.
versus August. Yeah.
All right, let's do that. Penny?
Okay, so I make a motion, we continue James Landing till July 20th.
Ms. Penny, do I have a second?
I'll second that.
From Eric, all in favor, Roger?
Yes.
And Frank, yes. Okay. Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
I know it's getting later. I need a 2-minute break. You guys can chat about whatever you want. I'll be right back. Sorry about that.
We have 165 Stockbridge.
Yep. Do I have to read that one, or is that?
I do believe we need to open it. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's see.
Oh,
I'm looking for a sheet on that one.
we got a couple of nasties coming up.
Oh,
I don't see a sheet. I think I can wing it if
I'm coming. Give me 1 second.
that's all. I mean,
Oh, I see.
Jen, if you're looking for stuff, I don't know that I have anything for 11 Conway Terrace either. Okay. Yep, no sweat. All right. see, on July 6th, 6 p.m., the Situate Conservation Commission will hold a wetlands hearing under Chapter 131, Section 40 of Mass General Laws. And for notice of intent filed by CIL Realty for 165 Turner Road, 165 Stockbridge Road, Scituate, for notice of intent for construction of a new dwelling, associated driveway, septic, and stormwater. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. Information to access the meeting is available on the agenda posted on the website. And we have someone from Hancock Associates.
Yes, Caitlin White.
Yes, good evening. My name's Caitlin White. I'm a wetland scientist from Hancock Associates. We also have Jacob Lemieux on the call if he could be upgraded when you get a chance. He's from our engineering department. I'm just going to start off by introducing the site. So, as you mentioned, the site is 165 Stockbridge Street in Stockbridge Road. The site is bound by residential properties and a golf course. The resource area on site is an isolated vegetated wetland that is downslope of Stockbridge Road. The wetland projects your 50-foot undisturbed buffer strip as well as a 100-foot wetland buffer zone onto the site. The wetland was delineated back in October of 2025. We have work proposed within the 50-foot that has previously been disturbed, as well as work proposed within the 100-foot buffer zone. If Jake is able to speak now, he is going to outline the work proposed within those buffer zones. Thank you.
Yeah, my name is Jacob Lemieux from Hancock Associates at 315 Elm Street in Marlborough. Here representing CIL Realty. The project before you is a new group home for CIL, which is a 5-bedroom home that will house people with similar disabilities so that they can support each other. These have been kind of going up all over the place now, and they're a great way to have supported assisted living for people that can still they can still live in their own house, but still get all the treatment that they need. So there will be staff that will require parking. There'll be aides that will need to be able to park down at the site. So we've got 11 parking spaces down there. That'll help mostly during shift changes. Like when you've got one crew coming in and picking up for the other crew, they have to pass it off manually. So you have to have both the vehicles parked there. The dwelling itself is a 5-bedroom house. It's approximately 3,100 square foot footprint. The building is on town water and also on town sewer, so there is no septic for this one. The stormwater on site and the house on the site are primarily outside of the buffer zone. We are proposing a StormTech SC 310 infiltration chamber system. So those are subsurface chambers for stormwater storage and attenuation. We have designed this in accordance with Mass Stormwater Handbook, so we're ensuring that we're attenuating all storm flows off site. We're not increasing the flow rates to the wetlands. We're not increasing the flow volumes, and we're providing adequate treatment to the stormwater runoff. We have not gone out to peer review yet, and I understand that we still do need to go for that. So as far as going any more in depth in the project, I think I'll just open it up to questions, and we can get now that we've gotten the hearing open.
Okay. Jen?
Yes, we received the funding for stormwater, so that will start. Many years ago, there was a similar footprint of a project proposed. On this site, the work wasn't done, but on the neighboring site, that part of the common driveway was constructed. So I think there'll be some input once we have the stormwater review um, comments in. We did receive a thorough wetland delineation report with details for how that was done. And it was similar to the delineation we had previously.
Okay. All right. Let's open this up. Penny?
This is a very exciting project to me. I'm assuming it's like a big ranch style house all on one floor. Yes, no?
Yes. Yep. All
Oh,
ADA compliant.
yep, that's what I figured. But okay, for some reason I thought the site was different than what it is now. Now I know exactly where it is. I really don't have any questions. I think it's a wonderful, wonderful proposal. Thank you, Frank.
Penny? Eric?
Yeah, I think that the intent for this project is great. Love to see these types of projects being proposed. Understanding that we still have to go to peer review, stormwater, and some details surrounding the common driveway potentially. Really, I'm just going to hold my most of my comments, but just off the top, a couple things quick. So the dumpster enclosure area, that is as close to the wetland as you get with this project, with any sort of permanent infrastructure other than the driveway itself. So I guess my only question relative to that, or actually I have two. One, is there a way to relocate that so it's not quite as close to the wetland as it is? Well, if not, are there ways that you can ensure that there is no dumpster runoff heading towards the 50-foot buffer line? I think ideally I'd like to see an investigation of maybe a relocation of that, even if it is straight through the parking area beyond, closer to the town of Scituate property line. I believe on the plan, there's a spot grade on the parking area that says 42. Just beyond that, there's the notation VGC, perhaps somewhere in that location, so it can still have access for the removal truck that comes. But that was my first sort of takeaway when I looked at the plan. So I don't know if you could speak to that.
Yeah. So the reason that the dumpster is where it is just because we wanted to use that sort of dumpster access there as also a fire truck turnaround. So the idea is that the fire truck would come down, turn in the drive aisle between the parking spaces, back out to the dumpster, and then be able to take the turn and drive back out to the roadway. But we could definitely have that and also look into relocating the dumpster to that other side there. So that's definitely something I can look into with our client, and I don't think they'd be opposed to that.
Yeah, I guess I'm just really thinking of fluent coming out of the dumpster at one point or another.
And normally what I propose is
going
I do curbing around the dumpster pad, and then that way, it's only draining in the direction we want it to.
Sure. And then just another note, and maybe I missed it and I do apologize if so, but mitigation at all for any of the proposed work that's happening within the 100 and as it relates to this project. I didn't happen to see a mitigation note.
So we haven't proposed any mitigation. We're trying to keep the limit of clearing as close as we can up to the new driveway there, but that's not to say that we couldn't provide some invasives removal and some mitigation plantings to kind of fill out that buffer area there between the driveway and the wetlands area.
Yeah, excellent. I appreciate that, Jacob. And, as it relates to the invasives, again, understanding that we are going to, peer review with the project and stormwater is going to be looked at, et cetera. Maybe just the next time we see each other, if you could have a comprehensive sort of mitigation proposal for the invasive species, as well as mitigation plantings.
Yes, and we'll include that in the revised plan set with the responses to the peer review. We can work on.
Excellent. That's all I have for now.
Okay, great. Roger?
No additional questions or comments from me.
Okay. Do we have anybody in the audience?
Yes, we do have one abutter. He's unmuted.
Just for you state your name and address for the record, please. Looks like Mr. Lopes is trying to get on.
Says he's unmuted.
Okay. He might not have any comments right now. He just muted himself. I'm gonna lower his hand. So if you still want to talk, please raise your hand again.
And also, if anyone's listening, feel free at any time to reach out to the commission, the Conservation Commission, and the Conservation Department will let us know any comments that come through, as well as with our peer review. So if he can't ask the question now, he could definitely has time to do that.
Yep.
It's just I can't see that top of that. Jen, does Bill have Mr. Lopes have his hand up or?
Yep, he does. I'm gonna ask him to unmute and. Okay, so it looks like you're unmuted, but doesn't look like maybe your microphone's working.
We're going to continue this one anyway, so.
Sure, and
Oh, Mr. Lopes
he,
is in a I'm sure he's in a butter, so I'm sure he's.
Yeah, I know, but if we.
Well, Penny, why don't we just hold on a second?
Sure.
He did come by the office previously and had asked if I'm wondering if this is his comment. I hope he doesn't mind me speaking for him, but and please interrupt me if you get your microphone working, but if the dumpster were to remain in the area where it currently is located, if any kind of fencing or privacy was proposed to go around it, wasn't sure what the view was from between his property and the dumpster.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we were going to keep it there, then we would definitely be putting, 8-foot dumpster enclosure privacy fence around it. But as we talked about earlier, we're going to look into relocating that closer to the town of Scituate lot line. So that'll move it as far away from that wetlands area as possible, and also away from that property line with you.
Okay. Okay. Do we have anybody else other than Mr. Lopes that wanted to get on?
I don't see any other hands raised. No, I don't see any other hands raised.
All right. So we know that this is going to get continued. Just to be clear to folks on this evening, we're going to have the stormwater reviewed, and we'll get a report back from that engineer. I'd encourage folks with any comments to email or reach the commission office so that we have those. Hopefully, at the next meeting, we'll have a little bit better communications. I think it's also important to remind the members that our purview is really looking at the wetlands and the stormwater, and not that this is not a worthwhile project, but I think it's important for the folks that are looking at this around it that we're addressing the wetlands issues. You know, it's an isolated wetland. There's also a fair amount of disturbance, and our purview and our process in reviewing this should be looking at the impacts it has on this wooded area and the wetlands as well. And I'm certainly not discouraging this project, but I think it's important for folks to remember what our purview is when it comes to this project. That's my comments for tonight. How soon do we think that we'll get some input, Jen, that we can?
I would say the earliest we should continue it to is August 17th, to give the peer reviewer a couple weeks and then to give the applicant time to respond.
Yeah, that works well for us.
Okay.
Okay.
Great.
So I make a motion, we continue 165 Stockbridge Road to August 17th.
That's a motion from Penny. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
That's Eric. All in favor? Roger?
Yes.
And Frank, yes. Great. Thank you.
Thank you very much. You have a good night.
You as well. So now we have 30 Marshfield. This is continued.
50 times.
And I believe I saw Mr. DeLisi.
Yes, Frank, I'm here.
So I guess why don't you?
Yeah, I'll just give you a quick update. I don't have too much. Since the last meeting, there were a few changes that the commission requested that be made to the plan, just so that it could vote on the fullest plan in front of it, so to speak. That was to locate a utility line that was missing from the plan, which is the water line coming in off of Marshfield Ave. The commission also requested that we follow up with with DPW on the issue of the proposed removal of the concrete wall and sidewalk portions, which are on my client's property. It was kind of clear to us that the commission was a bit ambivalent about that concept, being that it is, even though it's in a fairly dilapidated state, albeit still a public amenity on private property. And as a result of that, we've just decided to remove that proposed activity from our proposal, and that is shown in this plan, that being that the wall and sidewalk are still shown as being on the property.
Jeff, hold on a second. Josh or Jen, can you
We
switch?
need the plan.
Can we get the other's plan on the screen?
Yeah,
sorry.
I'm pulling it up.
Stop for breakfast in the morning?
Okay. Sorry, Jeff. Go ahead.
No worries.
We're looking at the Stockbridge Road project in front of us. So.
Yeah. The water line, the fact that the wall and sidewalk are now no longer being proposed to be removed. And then the third issue was the impervious calculations. That now shows by the engineer as opposed to by my client. On sheet 3 of the revised plan set in the bottom left, there's a chart. And essentially, what's important, I suppose, about that chart are two things. One, because we propose to put back so to speak, or not have as part of the activity that we're proposing, the removal of the concrete wall and sidewalk, which is all impervious area. In order to offset that, what we've done is we've proposed to remove a patio on the east side of the house. Uh, so the impervious calculations account for the removal of a patio on the east side of the house. And it appears as if our calculation has us under 25%. So that's it. Just those three changes, so to speak. I believe Mr. Tripp is on this call or in this Zoom tonight, and that's it. So if you have any questions, we're happy to answer them.
Okay. Thank you, Joe.
You're welcome.
Jen, do you have any other?
Yeah, no, I agree with their calculations. So we're not triggering stormwater with the plan that is proposed. I guess I would say any concerns that the commission's has, they should be as specific as they can be about it. I don't have, I have other comments I guess I can make, but I think I'd like to hear if I can go later, that would be great.
Sure. Okay. Penny?
Oh, thanks, Frank. This is just. I am still betwixt and bewildered by this whole project. I just don't like the accessory dwelling. It's too big. You got too many stairs. I don't know. I'm not in favor of this. I don't know what else.
Okay. Well, let's have some discussion, circle back. Eric?
Yeah, so thanks, Jeff, for the update from the last meeting. I followed up as I was not present when this was heard at the last meeting, but I did follow up with the video and appreciate your summarization, Jeff. My position on no adverse impact to the dune has been consistent throughout all of these meetings. I know Stan at some point had presented a letter indicating that it was his opinion that there would be no adverse impact. However, I did ask that there was some more substantive data to prove that there was, in fact, no adverse impact, especially given the situation where with the accessory dwelling unit, all of the dune that is underneath that would not ever be stabilized through vegetation, meaning that material, would not be able to act like a regular dune just because of the fact that it would not be able to be revegetated in any significant manner moving forward. Also, as mentioned previously, with the raised septic, which was also sort of coupled with the concrete wall being proposed to be removed, I had suggested that it would be helpful to see hydraulic and flood modeling, to indicate how during storm events, water currently flows over the property and how the proposed project would impact that flow. Because as we know, with septic tanks that are put into these environments, you can look elsewhere along the coast that sediment does ebb and flow, move from one place to another. And with some of these structures being exposed during extreme storm events, that will redirect water. And I think the concern from Jump has been flood and pollution damage prevention to the property itself, adjacent properties, as well as the public right of ways. And I think given that this site is as close to the beach and is essentially the front line of this section of the Hummerock area along Marshfield Ave during storm events, the protection of this site as well as the others surrounding it is critical for approval in this project. And I think that the grade of the dune and the stability around the tank under the EDU as it relates to storm wash and floodwaters on this site really needs to be comprehensive, and I don't feel like we're there yet. So
just a point there, Eric, just briefly. We're not proposing a raised or mounded septic system.
So the mounded area won't be over the septic tank?
Right. It's proposed to be underneath the location of the house. That might have been an earlier iteration when it was off to the side, so to speak. That's not the case now.
Well, I think I am confused, Jeff, just because it says proposed 2,000-gallon septic tank relocated. So is the grayed out area that is sort of the center on the plan just paper south of the existing house and paper east of the proposed structure? That is no longer the location of the septic tank?
So I apologize because I was not. I'm sitting in my in a remote location where I don't have the screen so well on my phone.
This is the same plan that we've had with the Board of Health now for 2 years, and that tank has been buried in that side yard. We chose to add a dune to enhance the plantings in the area, which covered what we expected to be the buried tank. If that's what it is. It has not changed for 2 years.
So my concern is still valid then, despite having sand or dune material on top of the structure in these coastal environments during flood events and storm surge events with substantial amount of water flowing across the site. There is erosion and transport of sediment, and sometimes these structures are exposed. There are a number of structures like this that I've seen exposed over the years in these coastal environments, and that does happen. So I think it's to my broader point that to ensure that there is flood damage prevention to the degree that I think is required at this site, this project has not met that.
I guess you would prefer a cesspool on the property then.
That's all I have for right now, Frank. Thank you.
Frank, I think you're muted.
All right. Roger?
Just a couple of comments. Glad to hear the sidewalk portion has been removed and the calculation has been updated. I know that from Brendan's not on today, but I know that was something he brought up the last time we talked. I don't have anything else to add other than kind of supporting a little bit of what Eric had said. So I'm good for now.
Okay, thank you. Do we have anybody in the audience?
At the moment, I don't see any hands raised.
Okay.
Hold on. I thought I saw somebody. I just can't see where it's going. There it is. All right. Richard's iPad. I'm going to unmute? All right, you are unmuted.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission. Thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening. My name is Richard Vaza. I'm the owner of the abutting property at 22 Marshfield Avenue. I'm sure as you're aware, I provided a detailed letter to the board and photos expressing numerous issues that I had with the proposed plan. It is getting late, so I think I'd like to focus on what I believe is the central issue before the commission, which is protection of the coastal dune and the vegetation that stabilizes it, protects the neighboring properties, including my home. The applicant presents this project as a trade-off that will result in additional dune vegetation by planting a new field. However, the area proposed for the ADU has been occupied and disturbed for years by vehicle parking, material storage, and an unpermitted shed. The lack of vegetation in this proposed location is not evidence that it is suitable for development. It's evidence that the dune has been prevented from naturally regenerating. The applicant should not receive environmental credit for removing conditions that should have never existed in the first place, and the new structure, or proposed structure, won't allow it to ever continue. The proposal replaces the disturbed area with a new dwelling, approximately 20 pilings, a 2,000-gallon septic tank, a leaching field under the building, which the Board of Health had asked previously to be removed, utility relocation, including a gas line on my property without any easements, excavation, trenching, grading, and construction activity immediately adjacent to the elevated dune and only a few feet from my property line. I'm particularly concerned about the removal and location of the gas line that runs along this entire dune, as well as the grading changes. There is a raised septic system and new impervious surfaces. These activities have the potential to damage the elevated dune vegetation, alter the drainage patterns, redirect the stormwater, and increase flooding and erosion risk to my property. The application does not provide sufficient analysis demonstrating these impacts will not occur. Most importantly, the plans contain no meaningful vegetation protection plan, no construction sequencing plan, no structural piling plans, no flow modeling, and no clear explanation of how this level of construction can occur without impacting the very dune vegetation the commission is charged with protecting. I respectfully ask the commission, how can this amount of construction activity occur within and adjacent to a raised vegetated dune without destroying the vegetation that protects this resource area? Finally, the DEP comments pertaining to this project, which appear to continue to be overlooked, state a new dwelling is not an allowed project on this lot when there is an existing home. For these reasons, I respectfully request the commission deny the application, or a minimum continue the hearing, require the detailed vegetation protection plans, sequencing plans, flow analysis, and a peer review before any decision is made. Thank you for your consideration.
Okay, thank you. Do we have anybody else in the audience?
At the moment, I don't see any other hands raised.
Okay. Asking the applicant if they want to respond to any of that.
Steve, I just want to defer to you if you have any particular response to any of that.
Well, we've heard that Mr. Vaz is quite skilled in this craft. He is a builder, after all, for 40 years, I guess he said. But he also bought a house with a full basement with his utilities in the basement. And because our current separation from my fence line to the side of his house is less than 3 feet, it's not my issue that he doesn't have a setback. He purchased the house without a setback. He purchased a house with a full basement with its utilities. We have been working at this project for 2 years. We've given back significant resource to get it approved. I'm asking this board to please move forward in a positive manner, and I'll respect whatever decision you make.
Thank you. Jeff, did you catch the early part of the meeting where we unfortunately, with some back and forth, we didn't get the
Yeah,
web
I
to the,
did.
okay. And
Yeah.
so what we were just simply asking folks is to be aware of that. And if they felt in any way that would give them concern, that we would continue the meeting to not that I want to drag this out, but that they would have the option to continue to another meeting in case someone was aggrieved that they couldn't access the meeting that evening.
Yeah. So this meeting has been open for quite some period of time. We're not proposing any additional changes to the plan. I think that there's been ample opportunity for a better commentary. I don't see any reason not to close the meeting tonight.
Okay.
I appreciate that, Frank. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. I don't think there's much that I can add this evening. I think we've heard from a tremendous amount of information from the applicant, and they've certainly have seems like they've tried to work this out as best as they can. We've also heard from the concerns of the butters and other folks on this. I think it's been vetted about as best as we can. I don't see the reason to continue this hearing any longer. I'd take a motion.
I do have just one comment on the DEP commentary. We've spoken with DEP. I've mentioned this to you since their initial commentary over a year ago. The initial commentary was that an ADU, even though it's an accessory dwelling unit, is not an accessory project because it's not the type of project that the regulation contemplates as kind of a small, such as small shed, etc. I've since provided the commission with an analysis of the coastal dune regulation that speaks to, okay, well, if it's not accepted as an accessory project, then is there still a pathway? And the answer is yes, there is still a pathway, and that pathway is whether there is any adverse impact on the resource area. And I just wanted to point that out because it's not true that Mass DEP said you can't do this accessory project. There is a pathway. And I think that the analysis that the commission has to make is whether the commission believes that this proposed project adversely impacts the resource area. And I do think that it is noteworthy in a substantial way that what we're proposing is an accessory dwelling unit in light of the regulations adopted by the Attorney General and the state of Massachusetts, which say that towns can't unreasonably regulate an accessory dwelling unit. Having said that, I did have an opinion by Stan Humphreys. He is a coastal geologist. He reviewed the planting plan, and he opined. He applied the standards under the regulation and concluded that this would not be an adverse impact. This project as a whole, which removes a cesspool in favor of a compliant Title V septic system, which has been downsized to eliminate a good deal of impervious area, which does revegetate the dune. And still the fact remains that whether you do nothing on this property or something on this property, the fact remains when there is a storm surge, water comes over that wall, and no matter what happens on this property, other neighbors would be impacted. The purpose for this project is for my clients to be able to actually reside on this property year round in a flood compliant building, they don't presently have the resources or the inclination like many of the property owners in the town of Scituate have, which is, oh, I'll just go ahead and raise and reconstruct, which is probably going to be the next project that comes forward on this property, whether it be, probably the next property owner. So, we're proposing in a situation where there was a completely previously disturbed site. There was a hotel on this site. In a situation with a completely previously disturbed site, in a neighborhood where there's a house on a house on a house.
Hey,
In a
Frank, I'm having a hard time hearing
circumstance where
Jeff.
this
He's
commission
going in
has
and
in
out.
multiple
I can't hear
circumstances
anything. I
allowed
can't hear
this
Jeff.
similar type of
Jeff.
project, albeit
Jeff.
not an ADU.
You want to get muted? You're cutting in and out. You sound like you're from Mars.
Yeah, I've stopped talking.
Okay, sorry. It just everything was pretty blurred,
Okay,
and then
I think I made it known. Yep.
Roger's is talking as well, so it just doesn't help. So I appreciate your input. I think you got the point across, and appreciate it. Okay. Anybody else?
I guess, Frank,
Jen,
yeah,
if you want to
if
add anything.
yeah, I mean, I know we've mentioned this in previous meetings, but on the plan, it's a proposed reconstructed accessory building. I don't think it's a reconstruction. It's a new dwelling for someone to live in. And then, as we've mentioned, some of the resources, it's barrier beach, coastal dune, land subject to coastal storm flowage. We have velocity on the site. I know this is getting deep into the weeds, but I don't believe the Board of Health reviewed the plan with the building on top of the septic. So that just gets complicated for me to have comments from them that they've approved it. And I think the mounding part maybe came from the vegetation plan. Maybe the proposed mounded planting area. I don't know that that's. I think that's where the mounding came from.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jen. All right. I mean, I think that this project's been vetted enough that we can close this, and then we'll take it from there. Unless somebody else has another comment. So I'll take a motion.
Well, what's the motion you looking for, Frank? Because I want to decline it.
Well, I was looking for a motion to close, and then we can. So make a motion, Penny.
I make a motion to decline the project. I don't think it's a good project.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
That's a second from Eric. All in favor?
If you're going to me, Roger, yes.
Okay. And I would say no. So it's a 3-2 vote to decline.
I got
three.
I'm sorry.
One.
Yeah.
3-1.
And Penny and Eric, can we just? I know Penny made the motion, and I know Eric seconded, but just that you are also a yes to denying it.
Yes.
And yes.
Okay.
They can go to DEP.
Okay. All right. So we have a vote to decline that project. It was Penny's motion, seconded by Eric. Okay. and voted by Roger, right?
And we are declining it because we don't believe it meets the performance standards, or do we have some more storm damage, flood control, not enough information to just a little bit more elaboration? I know, Eric, you had some good comments when you were
Yeah,
talking.
flood and pollution damage prevention for the property, the adjacent properties, public right of way, and information regarding hydraulic analysis, flood modeling, et cetera, for confirmation one way or the other on the impacts to those previously slated areas.
Have you got enough, Jen, for that?
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. All right, we're on to 83 Rebecca Road.
So yeah, Jeff DeLisi here, 83 Rebecca Road. I'll have Dylan walk the commission through the revisions to the plan, but what we've done is revise the house design to make certain that the house is no closer to the seawall than where it presently is. This is a raise and reconstruct. We are going from a circumstance where we have a foundation of about over 1,000 square feet, and we're reducing the amount of ground coverage, meaning objects that touch the ground, to less than 50 feet, which obviously is a substantial improvement. And Dylan will show you where on the plan we've kind of almost doubled the size of the proposed mitigation area as well. So go ahead, Dylan.
Thanks, Jeff. For the record, this is Dylan Brady with Grady Consultant. So yeah, I just wanted to address some of the concerns that I heard at the last meeting from the commission. So like Jeff mentioned, we pulled back the proposed house so that the primary dwelling is further from the seawall than the existing. The existing is 42.7 feet, and the proposed now is set back at 43 feet. The building size has also been reduced. The original impervious increase was 24.8%. It has now been decreased to 20%. There was concerns about the building size, so that has been reduced to address that. There's a question about the type of pile being used. You're going to use a typical timber pile. There's concerns about the size of the mitigation area. So we increased it from originally it was 115 square feet to 207 square feet. And I know the Wasakis did talk about, they're amenable to using any sort of vegetation that the commission recommends. And with that, I think that addresses all the comments from the last meeting. So I'll just turn it over to any additional questions you may have about the project.
Okay. Jen?
Yes. Thank you for the revised plan, moving the house farther away from the seawall, removing especially the piles. Also wanted to just say that we also have revised architecturals showing open underneath. That would probably be a condition for a site like this as well. And any kind of vegetation that can go on the site is great. As much of the area that can be kept natural, whatever that might be. I know it's a gravelly, cobbly kind of area, is helpful for the impacts of storms as they come over the seawall and go across the site. Thank you.
Thanks, Jen.
Yeah, so we do have, by the way, Frank, we do have Stan Humphreys, our coastal geologist, who provided a revised letter to the commission after the revision to the plan. He is on, or should be on tonight's call, to answer any questions that you might have if you care about his input. And that's it.
Okay. Well, happy to take that. I mean, it's part of your presentation if you'd like him to do that.
Dan, are you here?
I am. Can you hear me okay?
I got you.
Yeah.
Good evening, commissioners. In the second letter that I provided, I just went through a list of the positive response that has been given by Dylan. But I think the second paragraph from the bottom is what I really want to stress, and that is that the ultimate benefit of the project is elevating the foundation and setting the lowest horizontal structure member 3.6 feet. The elevation that's part of the regulation under land subject to coastal storm flowage for the bylaw says that it needs to exceed 2 feet and be 2 feet or greater. And I think an additional 1.6 feet is going to respond to any increase in sea level rise over the life of the structure. And I'm still in support of my first letter identifying that it meets the performance standards for coastal dune, albeit a dune that's lower and flatter than the seawall that it abuts. Certainly, there's no doubt that FEMA has done a pretty good job in identifying the hydraulics of the 100-year flood, and they've all been taken into account by the engineering of the project. Thanks.
Thank you, Stan. Okay. Eric, do you want to start this one?
Sure thing, Frank. So yeah, I appreciate the comments that Jen made relative to the applicant moving the house and structure further away from the seawall. That's all obviously a benefit, as well as the appreciation for the increased mitigation area. My only remaining comment really is related to the protection of the dune vegetation, the mitigation area, as well as the existing vegetation that may exist still on the site, and that we consider adding something to the effect of a protective fence as it currently exists. The post and rail to ensure that that vegetation can exist in that dune environment as it should, and sort of handcuffed to that, the applicant in a previous meeting had indicated that he went out and weeded that site, which was obviously a concerning comment because without knowledge of what plants were being removed, it very well could have been native dune vegetation that was being removed from that site. And as such, that is a concern moving forward, just in terms of the health and the natural ability of that dune to stabilize itself through the vegetation that should be there. So maybe that's something that we condition with this project, the protection of that vegetation in some way, as well as not removing it or have it be treated as weeds that ought to be removed, because this is a natural cobbled area that this material should be able to exist naturally. So that's all I have. Thank you, Frank.
Thanks. Roger?
No additional comments from me at this time.
Okay. Penny?
I'm all set, Frank. Thank you.
Okay. Do we have anybody in the audience for this project?
I do, I do not see any hands raised.
Okay. Um,
Close.
so I guess the only issue that I had was, and Eric, maybe you can help me out with that. The propose or Jeff Stan can explain how did you come up with the 207 square feet of the mitigation planting? I just don't remember
I,
how that shape or
I can I can help with that. The original 115 came from me using Nearmap to try to because it originally came where there was some grass that was allegedly there. So I tried to use Nearmap to replace it 1 to 1. And then the increase then came from a request um, at the last hearing to increase the mitigation area. So the 207 doesn't have a exact number associated with it. I just tried to essentially double the area that proposed from the last iteration.
okay. Thank you. And Stan, uh, uh, does that shape, size, square footage, does that have any meaningful effect on that? What's your opinion of that? It just seems like an odd shape or way to deal with this.
Well, it certainly is going to capture a lot of the overwash that's going to come over the wall, mitigate some erosion that would otherwise take place. I recall in past storms seeing a lot of trenches that would artificially be formed in this kind of area, and I think that will stabilize the essential platform where waves are going to and overwash is going to occur. Um, I think he took it as far as north as he could along the property line. Um,
It's
so
hard
I
to
guess that's
see.
my response.
It's difficult to see on this plan, but there is a good deal of vegetation, uh, um, say to the lighthouse side. I guess that would be the east of the proposed dwelling, which is all to remain. We're not proposing to remove that.
Yep.
And if you'd been out to the site, you could. I don't know if you have or haven't, but it's it is like compact, hard gravel out there. Um, so yeah, I mean, I'm just describing the existing condition. There's a little bit of an encroachment on the westerly abutter driveway into the property as well. So I think that is kind of one of the reasons why it was kind of turned in or L shaped, so to speak. But it's the best I can answer that question, Frank.
Thank you. I can see the vegetation on the other side, and it just seemed like a strange. If we're trying to vegetate an area, this just seems odd. But um, and wouldn't be opposed to seeing something a little more. I'd like to see something get growing there that hopefully over time will spread. Um, that's all I have. Other than that, I'm good. So, is there anybody else? Any comments?
Frank, I have just one more question. For the area west of the seagrass or west of the mitigation area where they're planning on putting plantings in, um, is that to remain the type of material that it is currently?
Yes.
Okay. I just it's a tough area to you have a winter with a lot of washover and sometimes have to start over again with plantings. So it's nice if an area is just kind of great to have plantings, but if it can be not formalized, left to be natural, that's great also.
Okay.
And as far as Eric's comment is concerned, like kind of I don't know how to say it, but a fence, like a rope fence with posts. I don't, I'm fairly 100% certain actually that my client would consent to doing that as a condition.
Okay. All right. So again, you heard the discussion about the advertising and whatnot. Do you see any concern with closing?
No. Nope.
Okay. Take a
I
motion.
Can I make a motion to close?
Sure.
Is that close an issue, Jen?
That's fine with me. I think we've talked about some of the conditions, maybe
Yeah.
the post and rope and post fence, possibly open underneath, no
Yeah.
lattice, no enclosures, driven wood piles, no footings.
Everything should be.
Yeah, our normal
Okay.
conditions for this type of property.
So that's the motion, Frank, to close an issue.
That's a motion from Penny. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
That's from Eric. All in favor? Roger
Yes.
and Frank, yes. Okay.
Thanks for the motion, Penny. Thanks for the
You're
vote.
welcome.
Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it.
Have a good
Thank
Have a
evening.
good night.
Have a good evening.
You too.
And then on July 6th at 2026 at 6 p.m. Central Conservation Commission will hold a wetlands hearing under Section 131, Section 40 of the Mass General Laws, and Section 30700 Town of Scituate Code of Bylaws for notice of intent filed by Mary Alice Loring for maintenance and vegetation within the coastal resource area and located at 11 Conway Terrace, Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. Information on the meeting, access the meetings available on the agenda posted on the website. And sounds like the applicant wants to continue this.
Yeah.
Yes. Representative's not available tonight.
Okay, when?
Let's go get the.
He would like July 20th, but I just don't think we can do it.
Okay.
So
August 6th?
August 3rd.
3rd. Today's the 6th. I make a motion we continue 11 Conroy Terrace till August 3rd.
Is there a motion from Penny? Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. From Eric, all in favor, Roger?
Yes.
Frank, yes. Okay. What do we got left?
Administrative items?
Administrative what?
Go ahead. Request for compliance. You've got 29 Surfside.
I think that one looks good to me. It was a small, well, from our perspective, a small addition, and that's been completed.
Okay.
In land subject to coastal storm flowage was the only resource area. Cole Parkway was doing improvements along the revetment around the parking lot, not in the parking lot. And then the Minot Beach parking has been completed, and they will remove the erosion control. The
Great.
plantings are in the grasses and other plantings we had requested.
Nice. Okay.
Good. And I make a motion to accept the minutes of June 1st as written.
Do I have a second on that?
I'll second that.
Thank you, Eric. All in favor, Roger?
Yes.
And Frank, yes.
Good night.
And that's it. Okay.
Good.
Thanks for everybody
night.
working through this one. It was a long one, but you certainly got a lot
Well,
accomplished.
Let's hope we don't have any more heat waves, everyone.
You kept it
Goodbye.
moving, Frank. That was good.
Thank you very much. Everybody have a nice evening. Appreciate
Thank
your
you.
time.
Wait, are we going to vote to adjourn?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
No,
I
we're
make a
just
motion,
gonna
we
leave.
adjourn.
I second that.
I like it. Penny?
She's
She
out.
dropped.
She's out.
Shit, we don't have enough quorum to get out of here.
Oh God. All right.
Oh,
Penny
we're
says
stuck.
yes. She's
Yeah.
nodding yes. All right.
Jen, Frank, yes. Have a good night. Take
All right.
care.
Good night.